Okay, so what I have here is a file that I've opened up in Photoshop, and what we're trying to do is create a watermark and record it as an action so that we can run it later to automate some of our workflow, or so that we can call this action from Bridge or Lightroom or any other software. So I'll start off by um, opening up the Actions panel, which you can do by selecting the little icon here, or by, if that's not available to you, by going up to the menu, window, and then from the list going down to Actions and selecting that, and then that will open up a panel, Actions panel, from which you can record your actions. Now here I've already have some folders, action folders. There's some there default actions that came preloaded with Photoshop. There's some other ones that I've created before. There's also one here called Light and Jam, and I'll use that folder, action folder, to record this new action. So I'll start off by selecting a new action by clicking on the icon down here. You can also do that by opening up a menu and then going to new action and clicking on it here. So I'll do that. I'll click there, and then I'll give the action a name. I'll call it Light and Jam Watermark, and I'll click record. One of the first things I'll do is I'll flatten the layers, because I have a number of layers here. The reason why I want to do that is because when I'm running the script from within Bridge, say for example, and if I'm doing it on a range of Photoshop files, I don't know which layer within the file is selected, so it'll kind of mess up the whole action script thing. So I'll flatten the layers so that I know that each file that the script is being run on has only one background layer. So I'll do that. I'll go to a menu here, opening up, and then I'll go down to flatten image, and what they'll do, they'll bring all my layers together and squash it into one. So now we have only one layer to deal with. Another thing that I will do is I will reset my swatches. I can see here that the swatches are already reset, but I will reset them nonetheless, just so that the action is recorded in the script. So I'll do that by pressing D for David, and you can see how the swatches have been reset, and now I've got black in my foreground and white in the background. Now that I've done that, what I'll do is I'll create a new layer, and I'll do that by pressing Command Shift N, and I'll give it a name called Watermarks, say. You can give it whatever other name you want. It won't really affect anything, or you can just leave a default name. I'll click OK. You could have created a new layer also by going up to menu here and then going new layer. I like to use shortcuts because I find they're much quicker to use than having to go around with a mouse and click around. Okay, now that the watermark layer is created, I will go and I will create a shape, and I will create a copyright logo shape. The way I do that is I will go and select a shape tool here. I can do that by pressing U, and that would select it. If this shape here is not actually shown, you may have some of these shown in your toolbar. So all you need to do is actually click and hold on the shape tool, and that will open up a little menu, and then you can go down to here and go to custom shape tool. So now that the custom shape tool is selected, I will go up here to the modifiers bar. I will select the shape, and I can see here that the copyright logo is already selected. But nonetheless, I'll go down and I'll select it again because I want that to be a default shape. So I'll select copyright shape, and I will click, hold and drag to actually draw the shape. You will notice how the shape actually gets squashed as I move the mouse about. To constrain the proportions of the shape, you can hold down Shift button and then drag, and that would give you a perfect circle in this particular instance. So I think this is the size that I'm happy with, so I'll just let go and that will create a shape. I will now create a text because I want to put some text below the logo. The fact that the logo is not perfectly centered, it's not really bothering me at this moment because we will align this in a minute. And there's a particular sequence that we want to use to align these, because we run a script on any other image using a batch process, then we want that to work. So I won't really move it to align it because any other image can be a different size, so that won't really work. But anyway, I'll do it in an appropriate sequence so that you see how it's done. Anyway, now I'll just create some text, and the way I'll do that, I'll push T for text, or for type tool rather, and that can also be done by going here and selecting a type tool from the toolbar. Up here I can see that my text is black. I actually want that to be centered, so I will click on the center text here, and I will go down here somewhere roughly below the copy logo, and I will click. I can see that's a bit big, but I'll work with that for the time being, and I can always scale it down if I don't like it. So I'll go light and jam.com, and actually that size is not too bad, so I'll keep the sizes of the text as it is. I'll just go here to the move tool, to deselect type tool, and I will now align some of these shapes, but I will align them relative to each other rather than relative to the screen. So I will hold down Shift button and then click on the watermark layer. So now I can go and align these two. What that means, because my text layer was first selected and then I selected the second layer, the watermark layer, that means whatever align action I give it, basically the watermark layer will get aligned to the first layer that I had selected, in this case the text layer. So now I want to align these horizontally, or rather I want the horizontal center lines to be aligned, so I'll go here to this tool here and I'll click it, and I can see that the copyright symbol has actually moved slightly to the left. What I'll do is I will align bottom edges. Once I do that, I will just slightly shift up the copy logo, and that way I know it's exactly where I want, and I'll be happy with that, hopefully. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll align bottom edges, and then I'll just select the watermark layer, and I will nudge it up with arrow keys. I can also use the move tool, and then by holding down Shift I can actually move this up and down, and that will move in a vertical line so that relative alignment between the text and the copyright logo doesn't really change. So anyway, I think I'm happy with the position of it like that. Now that the two elements are aligned relative to each other, I want to align these to the background layer, but I won't really do that yet. Just to make sure everything stays together, I will actually merge the text layer and the copyright layer together, and then I will apply some filters to it just to give me this watermark feel, and then I will do the aligning at the very end. So I'll go ahead and merge the layers, and I'll do that by selecting an appropriate option from the menu here. So it says merge layers. You can also do this by pressing Command E, which will be much easier, and apply a filter, and I will apply an emboss filter, which you can select from the filter menu, and then going down to stylize emboss, and that will open up another dialog where you can actually select the properties of your emboss. So the properties that I generally tend to use is the default angle, I think, of 135 degrees, and I normally use a height of 6 and an amount of 40 for this. Now you can always change either of these values to suit your particular needs. For me, I found that 6 and 40, so the height of 6 pixels and the amount of 40%, does the trick quite nicely. So I'll stick to those numbers and I'll select OK here. And now that looks a bit solid and not particularly nice. So what I normally do is I change the blend mode and I change it to hard light. So you go down here and change blend mode to hard light, and that gives me something that I'm happy with and I can probably want to keep. The only thing that remains to be done is actually to align the copyright logo or the watermark with the image. So I'll do that by holding down Shift and selecting the background layer, and then going up here again and selecting Align Horizontal Center Lines. That's done that. And then what I will also do is I will align vertical centers like that. So now that's perfectly aligned, it's in the center, and I know because I've used these tools here to align it to the background layer that any other image that I apply this action to will also have this watermark bang on in the center. So I think I'm pretty happy with that now. So what I will do is I will go and I will stop recording, and I'll go back into the action panel by clicking on this icon here, or by going up to the window actions and selecting that, and then down here at the bottom I will go and click stop recording, and that will have now recorded all the steps. And I can go back here, light and jam watermark, I can see it's there. I've realized now that I've put it under default actions folder, which I didn't really want to do. So what I will do, I will just grab and hold it and move it under this light and jam folder here, so that everything's kept in order and I know where all my stuff that I've done is. So that's that, and hopefully that's been fairly easy to follow. I mean, it is a fairly easy procedure, but as I said, it's very useful if you have quite a lot of images to go through and you want to watermark each one of those. So it's very nice and easy to apply this script afterwards in the batch process and do all your images in one go. Okay, what I've done now is I've opened up a different image, an image which is landscape in orientation rather than a portrait, just to test how our watermark action that we've recorded works and how it fits in with an image of a different orientation. So I will now go to the actions panel, and from the list here I can see that's the watermark action that we've just recorded, and I will go down here and I will click play selection, and that will run the script, and hopefully if we've done everything right we'll get the watermark that we wanted. So I'll click on that and we can see that the watermark is now here. Hard light blend is applied, it's perfectly centered, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. And of course, if there was any steps within this action that you're not particularly happy with, as in you don't really want to flatten your image to create a watermark, or any of the other items that I've mentioned in this video, you can always skip those steps and just record the steps that you actually want to have. Thank you for watching and see you soon.